of Steel, Zack Snyder, David Goyer, and Christopher Nolan's reimagining of Superman, and one of the most polarizing films on this list, where people that like it love it, and a lot of people just absolutely could not connect with this film. If you don't know the backstory on this one, David Goyer was working on the script for The Dark Knight Rises.
The legend is that Man of Steel came out of writer's block on Dark Knight Rises.
That's true. We were blocked, and Chris said, okay, let's just take a week off.
We had writer's block, and I had some old Superman action comics. Just started reading them and just spent a couple hours randomly writing up a take.
He pitched it to Christopher Nolan, who also got excited about it.
I told it to him, and he said, I would produce that if you want. He literally called up Jeff Robinoff, then head of Warner Brothers, said, Goyer's got the Superman take. I think you should hear it.
Nolan didn't want to direct the film, so they started looking for a director.
My friend Christopher Nolan called me and said, would you have any interest in making a Superman movie? David Goyer and I wrote a Superman script, and I don't think I want to do it.
And this is a movie where I left the theater and I enjoyed it, but I also had to process it for a while. I actually wrote a review of it on a blog that I had at the time, well before I was on YouTube, and even kind of discussed how much I needed to rewatch it to fully absorb it and accept it on its own terms rather than based on my expectations for a superhero film. And when you realize that it's both coming from Nolan and Goyer, who believe in these anchored realities, but also coming from Snyder, who believes in iconic imagery and symbolism, and has a very specific aesthetic, and has this postmodern way that he explores superhero stories. And before he did Man of Steel, he did Watchmen, which is a deconstruction of superhero mythology. And then Man of Steel is his version of reconstructing what he deconstructed.
Watchmen, yes, it's a complete deconstruction. Like, you took the entire thing apart, the car. In Man of Steel, the thing was put the car back together now.
And that's not going to be for everyone, but it's a film that I love that it has such a distinct vision for the character, a distinct vibe in a world where there's so many generic, mediocre blockbusters that feel produced by a committee and focused grouped into being optimized for the broadest possible audience. This is a movie with a distinct vision and flavor to it. And that flavor won't be for everybody, but it is for me. Like, deep at its core, it's telling this epic story of if Superman emerged, it would be the biggest event in human history. And it leans into that. And it's exploring these two fathers for Clark, Kal-El, teaching him different messages on how he should relate to the world and connect with it, and telling a story that builds to this epic global conflict with Kryptonians, all tied into that. I love all of that stuff. Adding to that, you get a fantastic Hans Zimmer score. And I don't know that anything can top John Williams' Superman score for me, but this is like as good of a second place as you can get, that fits the movie, fits the tone, fits the vibe, and gives it its own epic nature to the entire film. Absolutely, there's flaws in here. Structurally, it's a little bit clunky. It gets a little bit convoluted when you start getting into like the codex and Kryptonian predestination versus free will. It's like, there's some ideas that are like a little bit too lofty for the movie that they're making. And there's a little bit of just noisiness when you get into the third act where it's just so bombastic. Sure, I get all of that. But when I'm sitting there like picking between this and James Gunn's film at this moment, and it could change with time, and in particular with sequels and how everything gets fleshed out. But at this moment, just the nature of this film and what it does in just evoking this epic concept of the last son of Krypton emerging on the world stage was able to move me in ways that James Gunn's film didn't. That was fun and had its own things that really worked. This one, I think just the epicness is what elevates it for me.